support specialist today?
Okay, so the premise of peer support is recovery, where we are veterans who have lived experience. We have lived experience in life. It's whether it's mental health challenges, and truth be told, it's not necessarily being diagnosed as having something wrong, but it's going through something. And also substance use issues. As veterans, we have a tendency to self-medicate.
Right.
And a lot of it comes from the stigma that not only society places upon us, but we place upon ourselves. You know, I'm a soldier, I'm a Marine, I'm an Air Force, whoever I am, I was taught and trained to be tough. So I can withstand it. So I'm having nightmares at night. Don't worry about it. I'm tough. I can handle this. So I do something on my own, whether it's liquid substance or physical substance, whatever I do, I'm doing it on my own because I don't have it in me to go and say, I need help. Because I go to a clinician, I go to a provider, and this is me, the stigma that I'm looked upon as in the label that I'm giving.
Yeah.
You know, you're depression, you have anxiety, you have PTSD. PTSD is not my name, but that's how I'm looked upon.
Yeah.
And that's how, as veterans, we're looked upon, we're given that stigma. And it's in mainstream too, but we're just talking about veterans because I know that's what I'm talking about. That's who I am.
Yeah.
We don't ask for help because of the aftermath, whether it's from the outside or from the inside. I'm supposed to be tough. I'm supposed to be strong. But if I go in there and ask that question, that's going to make me weak. So we don't do that because we have people that we're talking to that haven't been where we've been. But then as a peer specialist, I've been there. So I can talk to you and I can tell you my story. I share with you my story. Wow. Yeah, I went through this, I went through that. And it's like, wow, you know, one thing I like to share was providing services to a veteran who was about to get evicted. And he was been out of shape, all upset because he was trying to figure out what was going to happen to him and his children. And he was fussing and cussing and just I was with the social worker at the time, and he's telling us, you don't understand. You don't know what I'm going through. You have this, you have that. And he's just going off. And when I got him to stop and I began to share with him my story, and I said, I have the hat, t-shirt, and the yearbook. So you can't tell me I don't know what you're going through. So we were able to have a conversation then, and I was able to support him to get from where he was to where he wanted to be. And that's the value of peer support. The training is an 80-week training. In that training, it teaches you how to communicate with people. It teaches you how to listen. It teaches how to share your story. Every opportunity that you meet somebody is not an opportunity to share your story. We all have a story. I can talk to you for hours about my story, but the relevant, if it's not relevant, then it won't help you. I would be able to pull out the pieces that are relevant to you about my story. I'm listening to you as the veteran, and I'm listening non-judgmentally. I haven't already decided what's wrong with you. I haven't already decided that this is what you are supposed to do, or this is what you need. I have not decided any of that. I'm listening to you, and I support you in making your decisions. If you tell me I don't like being here on Earth, I want to build a rocket and go live on the moon, I'm not going to say that doesn't make sense. You can't do that. My next line would be, what's the first thing you need to do? What do we need to do? We need to go find some rocket fuel. Okay, how are we gonna get the rocket fuel? And I work with you through that process. And you make the decision. Okay, well, I don't think I'm gonna get to the moon. Maybe I just do good going to Lancaster. I'm supporting you in whatever decisions that you are making. I'm support. That's support. That's support. So it's your decision. The normal is not what I say, because you are the expert on yourself. You are the expert on yourself. And because I'm a listener, I listen to you. And if you ask me questions, I move it around and I share with you what I think and what I would do. But by no means that's what you have to do. Because as a peer, all of our experiences, they may be similar, but they're not the same. And because of that, I can't tell you how you need to do something for your life. And that's the value of peer support. So in terms of the training, 80 hours, and then right now there are 2 organizations that provide the training for veterans who want to be peer support with the VA. Because peer support is not just in the VA, but there are only 2 organizations, 2 nonprofit organizations that provide that training. The first one is RIinternational.com. RIinternational.com.
I'll see if I can't type that in the chat box and help you out with that. RIinternational.com.
Yes.
If we repeat it enough, we'll get it there somehow. Kathy. Yeah.
There it is. And then the second one, the second organization is DBSA, which stands for Depression and Bipolar Support Alliance. So that website is D like David, B like boy, S like Sam, alliance.org. dbsalliance.org.
Wow.
So currently, those are the only 2 organizations contracted by the VA.
You and I are both on this.
Okay. dbsalliance.org. Yes.
Interesting.
And then RIinternational.com.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice.
So right now, those are the only 2 organizations contracted by the VA to do peer support training for people who want to be hired by the VA. However, there are other organizations that provide peer support in the community for the community-based organizations that may want to hire peer support specialists to work within their organization. Because in having someone who's been there has been proven to be more viable, more instrumental than having someone who has graduated from X number of universities and have X number of initials behind their name. Right. Not that they are not valuable, but having somebody who's been there has proven, evidence-based, has been proven that when you talk to someone who understands you from lived experience, the hospitalizations have decreased, the relapses have decreased. All of those things that are detrimental to us as veterans, they have decreased because of the fact that they were able to talk to someone who's been there, not feeling like they were being judged, not feeling like what they were doing is totally wrong, not being told what to do, but having somebody support them in their decisions. And one other thing I want to mention, I do work in the HUD-VASH program, where I help formerly homeless veterans obtain housing and remain housed. And what that looks like is supporting them with learning how to cook, helping them to balance the checkbook or dealing with their financial management, helping them with socialization, helping them reintegrate into the community. That's part of my job as a peer specialist in the HUD-VASH program. And HUD-VASH, I want to just explain that. That's the Housing Urban Development Veterans Assisted Supportive Housing. So that's just shortened for Section 8, basically for veterans.
Yes.
The Section 8 program.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Cash, I can add a little bit about that because everything Dr. Cash has shared with us, I can tell you, if you're just joining us on Voice of the Veteran, I have experienced exactly what Dr. Cash is talking about, that need for housing. Dr. Cash did not need to show up. When I was in a shelter as a veteran at the Welcome Center, I went in a back room. Dr. Cash was there after she finished working. She was done with her day, and she came to make sure she was present for me and worked with me on housing, shared with me things about how to get housing, and really was another veteran that gave me the ability to see what was in front of me. She didn't tell me what to go do, how to go do it. She just held space for me and provided information. And of course, I'm housed now through the HUD-VASH program. Thank you, Dr. Cash. It's been over a year that I've received housing, and I always go back to remembering it's hard to explain what it's like to be in a tiny room with 2 other veterans, 3 veterans, and then walk to the back room where we eat, and you be sitting there, just you and I in that room, and you holding space and letting me know, yes, you can get housing. Yes, that will happen. And a year plus later, maybe a year and a half later, that has happened. I'm housed and thriving. And thank you, Dr. Cash, for what you do for me and what you've done for so many other veterans.
Yeah.
You're welcome, because it starts with hope. It starts with hope. If you don't have hope, peers are change agents. We instill hope, because at one time we were hopeless, then we became hopeful. And we're sharing that hope with those that we meet, those who may not have hope. So we're sharing that, and it doesn't always happen in the first meeting like it was between me and Nick. It may not happen in the first meeting. It may happen 3 or 4 meetings. It may be 6 or 8 meetings. It may be a couple of months before, as a veteran, you realize, wow, this peer is for real.
Yeah.
Wow, this is hope that's coming out. Wow, they are really here listening to me and helping me. They are really there supporting me. And because of the mistrust that veterans have, it sometimes it does take a while to get to that point. Because as peers, we instill that hope. We role model that hope. We mentor. We set up the table for hope. So you have hope within you. And then now we can move on to the next step, because there are 5 things that I put as my own foundation in what I do. And that first one being hope. And then the second one being personal responsibility. As I'm sharing with the veteran, what is your part in this? You can't sit and wait for somebody to drop keys in your lap. If you're looking for housing, where do you want to live? You know, are you taking that initiative to go out and look? Are you going online and looking? Are you doing, what are you doing for your part? Don't wait for somebody to call you back, because everybody is busy. As much as we want to be the main focus of somebody's life, I want everybody to think about me all the time, but that's not reality. Okay, that's not real. I would love it if people called me all day, every day, because they thought about me, but that is not real. So that means if I want to talk to somebody, if I'm looking for something, I have to call them. So it's personal responsibility. That's the part that I'm playing in getting myself housed. That's what we share with the veteran. What are you doing? And then after you establish the fact that there is some personal responsibility, then we're looking at education. What are you learning in terms of getting over this hump, in terms of getting housed, in terms of walking through your recovery? You need to learn something about what's going on. If you're trying to be housed, where can I be housed? I have a city voucher or I have a county voucher. What's the difference? You're learning about what it is that you can do, what it is that you need to do. If you're dealing with your recovery, how can I need to see a substance use person, a social worker, someone to help me get out of this place, so I'm going and asking for help. I'm going and reading about what's going on in my life. And once I get all that, I'm learning, I'm getting that education. And then my 4th point is self-advocacy. Because once I've learned what I can do, then I can stand up and say, this is what I want, or this is what I don't want, or this is what I can do, or this is what I can't do. So when I first look at the hope, and then the personal responsibility, and then the education, and then the self-advocacy. Because since I have a city voucher, so I want to move to city of Los Angeles. I want to move to downtown Los Angeles. I can do that. I can ask, well, why can't I move there? That's the self-advocacy. Don't just tell me you can't do it. Because I educated myself, I can ask you, then why can't I? So now I'm demanding something from someone who is saying that they are out there to help me and to support me. So after that self-advocacy comes the support. So if you do everything that you do, you still need support sometimes, because it is scary out there. It is scary. Things that you used to do, you could do it at a drop of a hat. But now you have to go through this. You got to go through this process. You got to wait for this person. You got to fill out this form. And sometimes it gets scary. But when you have that support, it's like, take a breath. Let's do some mindfulness exercises. Let's take some deep breathing. Let's go for a walk. Let's talk about what's going on. That's the support, because I'm also there as your cheerleader. I know you can do this. And that's what support is. So when I put those 5 things together, that's what I use to support the veterans that I'm serving in the HUD-VASH program and also in the community. Because before I can, I'll get calls from people, I need some help. We have to sit down and talk about, what does that mean? I'm not running around like a chicken with my head cut off trying to get everything done for you, because that's their personal responsibility. You have to do some things. So I'm talking to you. I'm supporting you. We're making this happen. We're making this happen together for you. And that's what a peer support specialist does. And you have to have a heart for it. You have to have a heart for it because of the distrust, because of the unknowing and unwillingness, and because of everybody's uncles, brothers, sister, cousins, babysitters, daughters said. We get that all the time. Well, you're supposed to be able to do this because you're a veteran. Well, there's some pieces to that. You can't just say, well, I'm a vet, I'm supposed to get $3,000 check every month. How come I ain't getting it and be mad? No, there are things that you have to do. But people will tell you that you can do this automatically. So when we walk through this process, the veteran has to be patient as we're walking through this process, because it is a process. Yeah. And with the hope allows them the stamina to keep walking through the process.
Yes.
And then they have support from the peer specialists. There are over 60, there's about 55 peer specialists in the GLA system. And we're in HUD-VASH, we're in MICM, we're in HPAC, we're in outreach, and we are hoping to get peers in the emergency room and in the women's clinic, because those are places where veterans come in, they're scared, they don't know, they just need that support. Because even on a regular day, when you go to the doctor, and just anyone listening, when you go to the doctor, if the doctor gives you bad news, you don't hear anything else after that bad news. You don't hear the hope that they're instilling in you. You go, the doctor says, well, I'm sorry to tell you, well, Kathy, you have cancer. That's the last word I hear. Yeah. I don't hear, but it's only in your pinky finger. And all you have to do is, I don't hear that part. Yeah. I just hear you have cancer. So when there's support there, support is able to support the veteran in calming down, if you will, just enough to hear what else is going on and to ask them to ask questions so that they have an understanding when they walk out of the doctor's office.
Right.
So peer support is a humongous field.
Yes.
And we're stepping up, having veterans step up. Oh, we're overlapping for some reason. It's a technical thing. Go right ahead. Say whatever. Okay, I just wanted to mention that veterans stepping up is an important thing, because stepping up and telling people what their needs are, because I know I was at an event with you just last week with the American Red Cross, and they were actually asking us to please tell us what it is that veterans need. And you insightfully said, actually, it's more about what they don't need. I mean, ask a veteran what it is that is needed or not needed, because a lot of times they create programs and things that people don't show up because it is something that is not specifically about what's needed. And clearly this one-on-one is really great. Sometimes when we have a group and they want to have some kind of a therapy session, it's not as effective as what I'm hearing from you right now, being in a one-on-one situation. So I really appreciate your work, and just please go on some more. This is wonderful to hear all this stuff.
Yeah, both of them are. Both are very effective, one-on-one or group. It's just that when our community organizations and when people in the community, when they want to come forward and support the veterans, they don't know what to do. And they're thinking one thing, well, let's have, and this is an experience, several experiences that I've had with groups that want to help women veterans. Because as women veterans, we are hidden. I call us undercover, because we don't come out, because there's no trust there. And that's a whole nother episode about women veterans and the things that are going on with the women veterans. But when the community says, you know, we want to have this event and we want to invite the veterans. So they invite the veterans, they give us food, and then they have a psychologist, they have a psychiatrist, you know, they have a social worker, and it turns into a gigantic group therapy session. I went to one women's event, and it started out great. You know, we had great continental breakfast and great reunion, and then somebody came and talked, and then somebody started talking about MST, and somebody talk about the harassment and everything else. And MST, you all did an excellent episode on it prior to the break, military sexual trauma. The speakers will come out and start talking about that, and women get triggered, and next thing you know, everybody's crying and walking out and just upset when it should have been a great women's event. So it's not so much what do you need, but what do you want? What can we do for you? Treat us like we are there. Don't treat us like a specimen. Treat us like we're human. We love to eat. We love to paint. We love to glue stuff together. That's fun. If I'm gluing it together, you don't have to talk to me about my feelings. You know, and that's where it falls. That's where it ends up happening sometimes, because the women won't come out because I don't want to talk about my feelings out in public. I don't want my makeup running and watching everybody watch me cry out in public. No, I save that for the therapist. But I want to come out to a women's event and fellowship with the women and talk to the women and have little mini reunions. You know, there was an event last weekend. Yes. Sarge's Resource Center. Go Sarge. Sarge's Resource Center. He honored 50
that was
women.
Good stuff. I was there with you.
It was, Gail was there. I mean, it was just so many women, and the resources that were there were for the women. There was a Camp Transformation was there. Women Vets on Point were there. Veterans Family Wellness Center was there. Veterans Standing Together was there. All of these organizations were there for the women. There were no therapy sessions. There were no therapy sessions. It just didn't happen that way. We were outside at picnic tables. We had awesome barbecue. We had mimosas. We had sandwiches. We had chocolates. We had everything. Fun. It was so much fun. There was great music. It was just so much fun. Yeah. The men there, they catered to us. I can't say it enough. It was just so much fun. This was Sarge's Resource Center.
Yeah. Good job.
And he said he's doing another event later on this year. But October. That's what the women want.
Yeah.
We want to have fun just like everybody else.
Yes.
You know, if you're afraid of triggering,
hey, you know what? I want to make sure we talk about
alcohol. I can hear you.
Dr. Cash, Gail was saying she wanted to hear more about your podcast. She wants to talk about your podcast, is I think what Gail was saying.
Okay, so I have two podcasts.
Yeah. I want to make sure.
The first podcast that I've been running since October is Change Your Focus and Live Life. Change Your Focus and Live Life. Mm-hmm. And you can find it on practically any podcast platform. It's an audio podcast, and it's just about things that you need to think about to change your focus. So often we look at what somebody has done to me, but it goes right back to personal responsibility. What someone has done to you. Okay, so what can you do to change the situation? What can you do to change how you feel? Because you are responsible for your own feelings. You are responsible for your own feelings. Nobody can make you mad. But if they do something that you're not happy with, flip the script, change the situation. So that's the first podcast. And the second podcast, which will be, it hasn't started yet, but it's coming in, I believe our date is in mid-June. But that one is called The Veterans Wire. The Veterans Wire. And WIRE stands for Wellness, Information, and Resource Exchange. The Veterans Wire, where WIRE stands for Wellness, Information, and Resource Exchange. Because as veterans, we need to get to a place of being well. And wellness is defined by the individual because once again, you're the expert on yourself. Information, how can I get to do what it is that I want to do? What information do I need for my benefits? What information do I need to get housing? What information do I need to get medical care? The resources. There are places out in the community where I can get things that I need. So those are the resources. And then we're coming together on that podcast platform to exchange all of that information. So those are my two podcasts. Because when we talk about the pandemic, and some people say, well, the pandemic was terrible. For others, it was good because it allowed us to think about some things. It allowed us to grow some things. It allowed us to give birth to some things.
Oh, yes.
So in that regard, the pandemic was great. It's great.
It is.
And it's finishing up, but, all is well. All is well.
Well, Dr. Cass, what about the Chat and Chew? Are you still doing the Chat and Chew?
Yes, we are still doing Chat and Chew and Coffee and Convo. Again, those came out of the pandemic. When everything was shut down, veterans couldn't go anywhere. Nobody could go anywhere. So there was a time when you're home, you get to talking to your refrigerator and your microwave and your air conditioner and your TV, you're talking to your appliances. So now you need to have some communication with some real people. So we were able to get on a video platform and do Chat and Chew, which is on Tuesday afternoons at 12:30 Pacific time. So it's from 12:30 to 1:30. That's our Chat and Chew.
Yes.
On Wednesday mornings from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. is Coffee and Convo. So both of those are just open talk groups because you come on and whatever is going on in your life, it's not a therapy session. It's not it's just there. Whatever information that the veterans had to share amongst each other, that's what we did. Our conversations we have a quarantine creations where during the pandemic, people started painting, people started doing photography, people are gluing things, and they would show their arts and crafts during the group. If they were writing, we've had one of our members would read his poetry. Mr. Smith, one of our writers would read his poetry, and we would share, and then we would have a question of the day. The question of the day was some random question. We had over 1,500 questions, but just a random question to get people to think and to continue the conversation. One of our questions was, if you could create your own planet, where would it be and what would it look like? So that was pretty interesting. So we get to tap into our imagination with the question of the day.
I love the question of the day. I forget what it was when I sat in. Oh, it was about a movie. It was about the movie. And I got to share that I had seen Little Women with my daughter, and I started crying because the lead character of Little Women writes a book. And at the very end, through every obstacle, being told no a million times, she gets published, and the book is received very well. And this was New Year's Eve. It struck 12 while we were watching the movie with my daughter, who I was just reuniting with. And I'm a writer, and I'm watching Little Women, and I start bawling, and my daughter says, "Are you crying?" Life is beautiful, you know?
Yes. So yes, in these open talk groups, that's what we do.
So
we
funny.
share
I
those
see
things.
Hey, let's tell them about the Legion shooting day before we run out of time.
Oh yes,
because I know now you and I went shooting yesterday. There we go.
Yes,
there's you
look
and me,
at
Kathy, shooting at the OC Gun Club. And I'm telling you, you were tearing it up. You were sunbursting those clays out there like you just were doing this every day of your friggin' life. I was amazed.
That was so much fun.
Great job.
That was so much fun.
Oh man. Well, they're going to have a Legion shooting day. Legion shooting day is coming up on the 29th of May at Oak Tree Gun Club. And there's the flyer right there. And from 9 until 11, and they're going to have competitions. They're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to be able to network and just shoot stuff. I mean, I tell you, that's a nice place. Didn't you like Oak Tree?
Oh, it was wonderful. It
Yeah?
was wonderful. Yes.
Yeah.
So I loved it. I had so much
Yeah,
fun. I have not shot
We
a
got to
weapon
just hang
in
out
30
up there
years.
in the trees. Nobody bothered. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I had fun too. I got a bruise on my shoulder, but that's okay. I'm happy.
That was so much fun. And just being able to get together with other women vets, that was awesome for me. And that's one of the things as a peer support we do. We organize different trips and
Yeah,
different
yeah.
outings for veterans to get together. Because if a veteran is suffering from anxiety or depression, they won't be looked at funny by the others of the group, because everybody's going through something. And when we recognize that we're going through something, then that's half the battle right there. And that pin that I'm a woman veteran, I wear that because when I go to the clinic, sometimes they forget that I might be the veteran, that I'm not there with my brother or my husband or my dad, that it might be me that needs services. So I wear that and it draws attention because I am a woman veteran. And when I came into the knowledge that I'm a woman veteran, I now wear it proudly. And I encourage other women who are women veterans to wear their status proudly, not just waiting to eat free on Veterans Day, but going throughout the year, gaining that recognition or obtaining and basking in that recognition. Because, people say, thank you for your service. And I learned yesterday, I can say, thank you for paying taxes.
Well, speaking of taxes, if you're a California resident, you may want to file your taxes by May 17th. There's a stimulus that one can qualify for if you make that deadline out here in California.
Yes.
That's right. Absolutely. Oh, this has been really great. This is good.
I'm there as a peer specialist. I support veterans in getting whatever it is that they need, whatever it is that they want to do. I'm there as support.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Cash. I mean, there's so much that you're doing. And when you say hope, I just want to say, the hope that you gave me by being there for me at a time where I will be honest, I did not have much hope because I was beleaguered. I was tired. I had been through a system that takes. And to have you sitting across from me on the other side saying that, here, I'm on the other side. And that connection truly still fuels me. And I'm just really grateful for that, because it's why I want to transmit what I've been given and what I've been through to others, to inspire and to give hope as well. And I'm going to write down the other four too. The other four tenets I'm going to write down as well, because clearly they are working in your life in a major way and exponentially helping veterans. Thank you, Dr. Cash.
And you're walking in those five tenets as well. You're doing that, both of you, in this that you're doing. You're instilling all of that into veterans who view this podcast, because we all need that. We all need to know that there's somebody I can call, somebody I can go to. If I don't know, I'm gonna call Gail. If she doesn't know, I know she's gonna find somebody who knows.
That's right.
And that's when you get up, when you get to the point of, not that you actually made it, but you're at a point in your life where you can take a breath and say, okay, let me just keep on moving on. But then you say, let me turn around, because I remember when I stood in that room and raised my hand with that flag, and then I went through training, somebody told me over and over and over and over and over, leave nobody behind.
Yes.
That's right.
Leave nobody behind. So as I'm going, I'm pulling as many people as I can pull. And you don't have to stay behind me. I can pull you and fling you up in front of me, just so long as I don't leave you behind.
That's right. And when veterans help veterans, lots of veterans get helped. I mean, vet to vet. I mean, this is like something that we want to do for our buddies.
Our next guest is someone Gail and I both know. I am so grateful to be able to introduce you to Peter Trevallis. Peter Trevallis has served in the U.S. Navy from 1965 to 1969. He did 3 tours in Vietnam on the aircraft carrier USS Intrepid. He studied filmmaking at the University of Houston and then at the San Francisco Art Institute, all on the GI Bill. He earned a BFA degree in filmmaking. PTSD kicked in during his post-Navy days. Friends told him about transcendental meditation. He learned it in an effort to dissipate the wartime stress, and it worked. He immediately took to the TM teacher training course so he could pay it forward. Peter's maintained a successful 30-year career in television, along with teaching TM, working as a TV editor, writer, and producer for major networks and cable outlets. And he's currently employed at the David Lynch Foundation, where he's taught almost 2,000 people transcendental meditation. He is a member of the UCLA Monroe's Creative Writing Workshop, which I'm also a member of. He is one of my favorite people on this planet. He's written a collection of short stories, which is on its way to being published. Peter, welcome to Voice of the Veteran. Gail and I are so happy to have you here.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Gail. Happy birthday, Nick.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you so much. Yes. Peter, G is saying Yoda, because G and I refer to Peter as Yoda. Peter also got transcendental meditation.
I didn't know that.
Peter, just to start off, I just wanted to ask you to please tell our viewers about your journey to transcendental meditation.
Okay. All right. Transcendental meditation is one kind of meditation. There are dozens of kinds of meditations out there, and they don't conflict with each other. It's a tool to put in your toolbox to bring you back to yourself, you know, after any kind of traumatic experience you might have. And back in 1969, when I got out of the Navy after 4 years, as Nick said, on an aircraft carrier in North Vietnam, I was pretty messed up.
The aircraft carrier, the Intrepid, for crying out loud. I tell you, that's impressive.
It's a museum in New York now.
That's right.
A museum in New York. And so, you know, I was really glad to get out of the Navy, but I hated everything. I hated life. I thought life sucked. I got a bad deal. It was just bad. I was, you know, self-medicating, smoking a lot of pot, and I was just messed up. But when I went to school using the GI Bill, I thought, all right, I might as well use the GI Bill, get something out of this. I was in a bad space, really. And I met these people at the San Francisco Art Institute that they were really cool. They were happy. They were not stressed. They weren't vets, but they were not stressed. They were happy. I just liked them a lot. And every so often they would say, you know, dude, you're pretty stressed. You should learn how to do this TM that we do. And I go, I don't need that. You know, TM, what is that? I thought it was really stupid. You know, I liked them anyway, even though they were doing TM, but I still liked them. And then after a while, after a year, 2 years, I wasn't getting any better. And I thought, all right, I'll try this stupid thing, because they kept on pushing me into it, not pushing me, gently nudging me into it. So I learned how to do this transcendental meditation. And I was one of those people where the first day it just hit me like, wow, this is going to help a lot. And then over the next few days, few weeks, I saw that, wow, I was starting to relax. I didn't realize how tense I was until TM gave me that really deep relaxation. And I started coming back to like who I remember I used to be. And it was so profound. I was in the Art Institute. I was going to school for filmmaking, and I thought, I got to make a film about this. I got to tell people about this. So I didn't know enough about it to make a film. So I decided to become a teacher, a transcendental meditation teacher. And that training is very thorough. It's 6 months in residence. But, you know, I was young and I had the wherewithal. And I earned the teacher training course by working by working for the TM organization. And so I got a free course. And at the end of that course, I became a TM teacher, and I've been teaching TM ever since. But my life started clearing up and clearing up and clearing up, where as Nick was saying in my bio, I was suddenly myself again. I was able to think clearly and make good decisions, and I had a really good career, mostly as an editor in television, but other things too, producing and writing. And that's how I came to it.
Wow, thank you so much, Peter. You know what? I can relate to a lot of that because Peter, of course, introduced me to transcendental meditation. So it was similar, just to share with our viewers out there. I served in the Air Force, participated in Operation Noble Anvil, and I was carrying a lot of just tightness and tension everywhere I went. It followed me everywhere I went. I just thought that's how life was. I didn't really know what it was. I hadn't even learned the vocabulary to talk about it. So I didn't know what I was experiencing. Of course, the domiciliary, as we shared about last week, started to give me the terminology to talk about what these symptoms were, but they were with me all day, every day. Everything was a struggle, but I was just fighting through it. Peter said, hey, I'm not telling you this is just gonna automatically change everything for you, but if you try it, which I did, things will slowly start to change. And I tell you what, I have been practicing, Peter. I think maybe I know it's been over a year. I feel like it might even be almost 2 years. But
more than 2 years, more than two, yeah.
More than 2 years.
We're on the 2-year mark, yeah.
Yeah, yes. And I'm telling you, just to share with our viewers, Peter's right. I mean, I was an actor. I'm an actor also, but I'd always carry tension in my forehead. You can see it. The camera always shows that. And that started to dissipate. I'm no longer gripping the wheel went through life. Right? So I've released my tension on the steering wheel of life. And that's all because of TM and being able to put it into practice. I know Peter has been there the entire time as my instructor, because if I'm maybe not doing my meditation or it's starting to slip, which has always been the case. I've always wanted to be a meditator. I just have never really been able to meditate. It wasn't until I learned TM that I could actually make it a daily practice. And that's an amazing thing for me because I've always been interested in things like meditation. TM is what's been working for me. And I've been able to do it consistently. When it slips, I call Peter. Peter says, hey, let's tune this up. And I get right back on track, and my meditation practice continues to be a daily part of my life. Peter, I wanted to ask you also about how TM has improved your relationships, because we, as a veteran, I have relationships. They're strained by all of this anxiety and stress, and by gripping the wheel as tightly as I always have. And I've started to notice some changes in my personal relationships and room for other personal relationships to enter my life. So I was wondering, could you share with our viewers a little bit about how TM has improved your personal relationships, maybe with your children and your grandchildren or others?
Yeah. I'd be happy to. First, I just want to give a real quick view of what TM is. I mean, basically, you just drill down to what it really is. It's profound TM. This is transcendental meditation. This isn't other kinds of meditation. TM, when you close your eyes and you do this really easy technique, it gives your nervous system, your body, and your mind a profound level of rest, deeper rest than sleep. That's how it works. And when you give your body rest, it starts coming back into balance, starts getting rid of stress and tension and anger and all that. But on a deeper level than sleep can reach. So you do this every day, and little by little, the stress that's embedded in your nervous system goes away, and that's what brings the results. Your body starts working the way it could work, can work, should work. So as that started to happen, I started having a better relationship with not just my family, but everybody around me and with my whole life. And I think the main thing was that I used to go around thinking that, I can handle everything myself. I'm an independent guy. I don't need family. I don't need this. I don't need that. And, I loved my family and they loved me, but it was kind of a pain in the butt to be with them and stuff. But little by little, I started seeing who they really were and how much they did love. I really appreciated who they were. And so when I got out of the Navy, I was married. I got married when I was in the Navy, and that marriage fell apart just through stress. And so that went away. And after I've been meditating for a couple of years, I met my second wife, and it was love at first sight. I was mellow enough to recognize that, and she was doing TM also. So there's two kind of more mellow people can come together and really appreciate. And so what this meditation has done for me is kind of wake my brain up, take away the tension and the blocks, and I'm a little bit more aware. And when you're more aware, you're more appreciative of everything. And if you're more appreciative of the thing, you're feeling better inside. So it's kind of a positive cycle. And so I'm on a really, really good standing with all of my family, my kids, my grandkids, even though they're all on the East Coast. But, you know, I get back to the East Coast a couple of times a year, and it's like I never left. And they're always pushing me to come back. But I'm saying, no, LA.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Peter. I mean, I'm experiencing a lot of the same things in my personal life right now, with just being mellower and really being easier to get along with. And even, and for me, I would say what TM has done for me is I'm the type of person who's always had a lot of windows that open up in my mind. So it's almost like a computer. I'll have a million different tabs open in my mind, and it'll play out in my external environment. My apartment will look like someone with a million different tabs open up in their room. But you know, my closet, under the bed, all of that's got tabs. But after 2 years of TM, that's my operating system is a lot cleaner, which means my external environment is a lot cleaner. And there's not a lot of clutter in my mind or in my life when I'm practicing TM. And that's something that if you would have told me that, because I mean, I was skeptical. I was like, man, nothing else has worked. I mean, particularly in the area of PTSD, which I'm comfortable sharing that I deal with as a veteran, and seeing what TM has done in that area for me is something that's difficult to articulate, which is why I wanted Peter to come on the show. Not only is he my favorite person, I just wanted to have him on the show, but because of how valuable this tool has been in my daily life as a veteran that deals with PTSD. Gail, did you have anything to ask Peter?
Yeah, I wanted to mention, you talk about relationships, Peter. I don't know if you remember us discussing this or anything, but I remember a time in my life when, as far as family members go, they used to say, "Oh God, don't tell mother," and now they tell me stuff because I'm not going to go off and do something or immediately try to fix it. I'm more about the relationship and what's going on and everything, and just calming down in general. I mean, well, I got medication for that too, but you know what I'm saying. It's just, people trust you with information because they know you're actually listening rather than looking for a reason to go off and go nuts about it.
Yeah, or leave.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh man, we gotta fix that. Whoa, no. Just let's just think about it a little and give consideration to things, that kind of thing. And it's a much nicer place to be. So I'm agreeing with you both. Thanks, Nicholas, for the opportunity to say that, because that's what I was thinking.
Well, you know what, and that's something I'm noticing too, as a person, as I get older, not only as a veteran, but just as a son to my mother and father. There's been that change in that growth in our relationships too, where I now have accepted all of this stuff that I had projected onto my parents, right? I had projected on them. My parents wanted me to be all of these things and do all of these things. I was kind of just treating them like that. And now I'm able to see clearly and communicate clearly and concisely with them that, hey, those were my own things. That was all me. And now we're able to have a different relationship with each other. I think I'm able to see them clear as who they are, and they're able to see me clear because of how I'm showing up. And I believe that has to do with TM for me, because that's a new thing. That's a new thing in our relationship.
What goes around comes around.
I've got a 16-year-old kid, so I'm trying to learn as fast as I can how to be a good son.
What goes around comes around, right? What you're putting out, you're getting back. If you're tense, like that, you're putting that out, that's going to come back, And if you're more mellow inside, if you're happier inside and less stressed, then you're putting that out and that's going to come back. And I can tell you
Well,
after.
we're an example to our families about how to be, and and that role modeling and exempling, like you're talking about, is kind of mirrored behavior. What you put out there, you get back, and they mirror that stuff.
It's partly role model, how you are, but it's also vibe too. How you react to somebody and that kind of thing. After I can tell you, after I've been doing this for 50 years now, I'm 75. I can't believe that, but I've been doing this for 50 years, and the long-term effect, it's still happening. It just keeps getting better and better and better. And what I've noticed is I didn't know I had PTSD when I got out of the service. It wasn't any such thing as that. I was just, oh, he's a Vietnam vet. That's who I was. Oh, he's a vet. That's it. But now looking back on it, I probably had PTSD, but I think I still have it. But what's different now after all these years is I still get triggered by things, but it doesn't turn into something. Like I can realize, oh, that would have set me off, a few years ago, or gee, I noticed that, but I don't need to react to that, and there's some space between what's happening out here and how you react to it. And it gets mellower and better and better and better. And, I hardly ever get triggered. I mean, I get triggered, but nothing happens, I hardly ever have a bad day. I have a bad minute, maybe. If something comes up that really bugs me, it goes away quickly just by itself, because there's not as much stress in my inside here, That's the long-term effect. The day-to-day effect, short-term effect, you find your life getting a little better, a little better, a little better, just by giving your body that profound level of rest. And the same thing, what's happening in your brain while you're meditating, while you're doing TM, is your brain becomes very, very synchronized. And all those pathways that exist in the brain that we hardly ever use, they all become enlivened while you're transcending. And then you come out of meditation, you're thinking a little more clearly, and then it kind of wears off. And then you meditate again, twice a day, you meditate. And then it kind of reorganizes your brain, and you're clear afterwards, and then it wears off. But over time, you're training your brain to function in that different way, in that more ordered way, that more awake way. So your brain's kind of waking up little by little over time. And
so then you go to Diana and drink the Kool-Aid, or what is this? I mean, people think this is like a religion or something.
Yeah, I know. I hear that all the time.
And I know you and I had that discussion, during our class together, about how, how it's meditation.
I hear that all the time.
Well, I grew up drinking Kool-Aid and real sweet Kool-Aid. In my house, the Kool-Aid was so sweet.
Oh, that's right.
That is why I practice TM. However, I'm a fan of Kool-Aid.
Gail, it's a technique. See, this transcendental meditation comes from, it's indigenous knowledge. It's from indigenous India. It's indigenous knowledge. It predates religion. Hinduism came after that. Buddhism came after that. It's like the indigenous knowledge of the United States. It's based on sound. You're thinking a mantra when you do this, and it's a sound vibration. And I always think about the Native Americans in this country. They do drumming and dancing, and they can create rain. It's just a basic indigenous knowledge. It's not a religion. I mean, maybe the Natives, Americans, different tribes, maybe that's their religion or something, but it's beyond their religion. You can put a religion on top of it, but it's the name, transcendental meditation. Sounds, what is that? Yeah. And it's a type of meditation, and it's about transcending. Let me give you the analogy of the ocean. Okay, do I have a minute to do that?
Yes.
Okay, so imagine the ocean. Surface of the ocean is always active, always waves, and you dive down a mile down to the bottom of the ocean. It's calm down there. There could be a storm going on up here, but down here you wouldn't even know it at the bottom of the ocean. Same thing with our mind. Our mind is active from the moment we wake up. I got to do this, I got to do that, all these decisions and blah, 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 blah. But deep within everybody, there's this inner calmness, this inner silence. It's there. We're born with it. And what TM does is takes your attention from the active part of your mind to the part that's more still, more quiet. It's not about, a lot of times when people are thinking about how our meditations different from each other, And they usually think that it's about calming your mind. Meditation's about calming your mind. It's not about calming your mind. It's about taking your attention from the part that's active to the part that's already calm. This is still going on up here. When you're meditating, when you're doing TM, you're aware of what's going on around you. You're still having thoughts, but you're down here in this stillness. And so by doing this technique, it's really easy to do. It's automatic, kind of. When your mind becomes less active, your body follows along, because the mind and body are like that. Our mind and body are really closely connected. So when your mind starts to settle, your body starts to settle. Your breathing slows down, your heart rate slows down, you go into this state of rest, but you're awake. You're awake. You're sitting, it's a state of restful alertness. You're sitting there, you're awake, but you feel, wow, I'm really relaxed, you know? And the reason why you would invest 20 minutes of your time twice a day would be because it's about healing. It's about getting rid of the stress. It's 20 minutes of cleaning house. It's not like 20 minutes of escape or going to some, you know, it's about cleaning house and rejiggering your body so it comes back into normal. Tuning up your nervous system, basically.
That's been my experience. My experience was such, for a long time, I could only consistently get in maybe one meditation a day. And Peter always told me, you'll know 2 is what you're shooting for. That's the goal. And I then started getting that second meditation in. And I'm telling you, that second meditation makes such a big difference for me, because right around midday, things start to pile up. And then to be able to go and clean house again, that second meditation has done wonders for me. It energizes me. Actually, it propels me in some ways to the next part of the day. And then I'm able to be creative. I'm able to be present and in the moment more and more. And it's just been a tremendous tool in my life. It's literally a part of my daily life. I do not leave the house without having put in that first meditation, if I can help it. Sometimes I leave and then I just might go to the beach and meditate there. But you know, I know when I haven't done my second meditation. I also know when I haven't done any of those meditations in a day.
You can feel it. You can feel it. Yeah,
absolutely.
You know, Peter, I can still hear your voice when I am anxietal. I can still hear your voice saying, "Oh, just gently tap back into, you know, just okay, that happened, but just go right back to it. Just let you know, yes, thoughts come up like you described, and just go right back to it." I've so many times, I can't even tell you how thankful I am to you for that knowledge and for hearing your voice say, "Oh, you're," because it isn't like I was upset in TM class, but it was getting used to your thoughts coming up and then just tapping back into it. It's like, also like resiliency zones. We learn a lot about that in sometimes I slip and call it mindlessness training. It's not mindfulness training. And they have a resiliency zone we're supposed to, maintain within and that kind of thing and bounce back and forth within. And when you get outside of it, I hear your voice, "Oh, just tap back into it. Just return back to that."
Yes.
Whatever that is.
That's why I became a
it's very
TM
comforting,
teacher,
and I appreciate it.
That's why I became a TM teacher, Gail, so I could pay it forward, like, so you can, have it, and so Nick can have it. And just bouncing off of what Gail said.
It was a great experience. Absolutely. I remember the day we were out there. Go ahead. We're having choppy stuff going on.
Oh, good. Peter was going to say
Go ahead,
something.
Peter. I didn't mean to interrupt, but we were.
Well, I like the nostalgia stuff too, Gail. I was going to say, jumping off of what you said, is this transcendental meditation, diving down to the quiet part of your mind, it isn't like you're down there for 20 minutes. TM is more like a cycle. You kind of like in the settled part, and then your more active part, and then the settled part, and then the more active part. It's like that. And it's completely automatic. It's really easy to do and really easy to learn, but it's very subtle. And that's what makes it powerful, is the subtlety of it. And so it takes someone to walk you through it and answer your question. Now do this, now do this. Oh, this is happening. What do I do now? Okay, now do this. And then after the four 1-hour classes, you got it. And maybe some tune-ups once in a while, like Nick was saying.
Yeah. Peter, could you tell our viewers and fellow veterans out there about how the David Lynch Foundation is making TM available to veterans and veterans suffering with PTSD and whatever other things that veterans may be challenged with? Could you tell us a little bit about how the David Lynch Foundation makes TM available to the veteran?
Yeah, I'm a staff member of the David Lynch Foundation. I work on a salary, and David Lynch. I'm sure all the viewers know who David Lynch is. He's a filmmaker, and 15 years ago, he had visited a school where all the kids in the school meditated, and he saw such a difference. They were creative and happy, and he thought, "Wow!" And David Lynch has been meditating for 40-something years himself. So he visited the school, and he said, "You know what? All schools should have TM." So he formed the foundation, the David Lynch Foundation, with the purpose of making TM available to kids in schools, 6th, 7th grade. Wouldn't it have been nice if we had learned this when we were young? We'd have it our whole life. It's kind of preventative, you know? So we for the first 10 years of the David Lynch Foundation, we taught in schools, and mostly inner city schools, schools that were the most stressed and had the least amount of money and the least resources, you know? And so mostly we taught there at no cost to the school. So the foundation raises money. We have concerts and different fundraisers so that we can bring TM at no cost to the schools. But then we branched out into teaching veterans, because there's another highly stressed segment of the population, you know,
Oh, yeah.
and yeah, first responders. And now we're bringing it to the first line health workers in hospitals who've been going through hell for the past year. So David Lynch Foundation is aiming at the most stressed population. TM works for people who are kind of at a normal level of stress, but David Lynch is about reaching that population. And so if you would like to learn how to do this meditation and you're a veteran and you need the money, you don't have the money, you can learn for free through the David Lynch Foundation. And so we have those scholarships available. If you can afford to pay, we can give you the lowest price. It's a sliding scale to learn TM. If you can afford to pay something, then we'll give you the lowest price, which is $95 a month for 4 months. But we have full scholarships available if the need is there. And it's a lifetime thing. You've got it, just like Nick was saying, and Gail too. I'm your TM teacher if I teach you, and Nick can call me up in 10 years from now, say, "Hey, I'm living in Florida." Help.
That's been the case. That's been the case. I've called Peter up. Peter and I have been able to continue on the journey, not just as my TM instructor, but also we're both writers, and it's kind of cool how the more available I am to cool things happening in my life, like the fact that Peter and I are both writers, and we get to see each other in that capacity and work together in that capacity, but also he's at the most stressful times of me being homeless in a shelter, Peter would show up. I received a scholarship. TM was provided at no cost to me. I try to share it with other veterans because of what it's meant to me. Peter would meet me out pre-COVID times on the West LA VA campus and would tune me up when things were getting too stressful or built up in my mind about the situation that I was in. Now that situation is totally changed, and Peter's still there as my TM instructor.
And we want to say where we all got to meet, which is the Family Wellness Center in Building 220, because that was a great location. And we had a fair out there. I remember Peter was out back in the Rose Garden signing up veterans for the program and stuff. And that's a nice area. And Tess Banco and all of them over there. I just want to say, what a great job they do. So. Yeah.
Tess is really behind this. And right now, the David Lynch Foundation is getting ready to do the biggest study on PTSD ever. And I think it's at 10 different locations around the country, different VAs, to see the efficacy of TM as compared to some other therapy. Centered therapy, present center therapy, something like that. PCT, I think it's called. So they're going to compare the two. And it's a huge, huge study that's being done at all the VAs, and we're hoping long-term, and this has been the hope for a long time, that the VA will really get behind it as one of the tools they're using to help vets, and some vets aren't ready to learn TM, and other vets, they might learn some other meditation first, or they might learn yoga first or something, and little by little, okay, I think I'll try TM, and add that one more kind of type of meditation to the toolbox. And so we're hoping that it, little by little, is becoming more and more known and available. But meanwhile, if you're living in the LA area or in New York area or Washington DC area, vets can learn TM. And I don't think I can put. You should go to if you're interested, you can go to our website. And I don't see how I can put the website on the chat.
I put I put it up twice, and it's the last thing that's on the chat right now. Again, while you were talking, to make sure that
it's been scrolling across the screen the entire time. The website's been scrolling.
Oh, I don't see it. Okay,
it has been.
Okay.
Well, we're keeping it a secret from you because we figured you'd be busy meditating. So.
Yeah, and I also know the website, so I don't need it.
You don't need it.
Yeah, it's scrolling right now. So for
I see it. I see it. Oh, you guys are fancy.
Yes, www.davidlynchfoundation.org.
Franco's on the job.
Yes,
I'm telling you, he is. He's a producer. The most.
Peter,
at the website. One more thing, Nick. At the website, there's a lot of videos on the website, and there's a section just for vets. Vets talking about how they learned and how it helped them and all that kind of thing. And then, that's your first step in learning. And then we'll make it happen if you want to learn.
Absolutely. And I'm going to keep sharing my experience with TM because it's done so much for me. Like I said, my daily life has changed in ways that, I don't like to get emotional, especially not on Sunday. I don't do that emotion thing. but it's touched me in ways to where I know my daughter is thankful. My communication with my daughter on just how to arrange being with my daughter, arranging visits and all of that stuff is a lot easier because I practice TM daily. The stress and the anxiety that I've gone and moved through life with has gotten so much more bearable over the time of having practiced transcendental meditation. So I try, veteran to veteran, to share that with my fellow veterans, what works for me. And it also works in concert with a lot of other modalities. I do more than just transcendental meditation, but I'd say one of the cornerstones of my daily life and being able to move through life is transcendental meditation. I wanted to share that with our viewers and fellow veterans out there. And so grateful that you are on the show, Peter, that you came on and gave us some time to share about TM with us. We've got I think maybe 12 minutes left, and we've got another segment, Peter. But I think you'd be willing to come back and talk to us again sometime.
Sure. Absolutely.
Maybe even around the time that manuscript gets published, which should be very, very soon. But Peter, thank you for being here. And Gail, I know, has some things to say to you as well.
I love you. I think you're a terrific person. I hope to see you around more often. Please do come back because this has been a great conversation. I think it's good for people to, get an insight of what TM is because, people get kind of goofy on it sometimes, even about meditation, not just TM, but I mean, any kind of, what's that? Oh, it's, so I just love it. I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy to see you. And what we're going to do is we're going to do an update about vaccine and some other things. So hang around and listen to that information. But I'll let Nicholas say goodbye, and then we're going to get over to it.
Well, right. Thanks for the invitation. And, I'm always about putting it out there and having more and more vets know that this is available and no cost to them. So.
Full of everything but an airplane. Stuff. So that stuff is all the stuff, Esther's favorite word, is all the stuff, because you can use it